Kurt Vonnegut is an American author. Amongst all his great work, this line has stayed with me. Of all the words of mice and men, the saddest are, it might have been. Regret. The saddest thing in life. But what if you were told that what you let go of was for good? Wouldn't it make you happy? The thing is, most of us don't get the chance to know if what happened was for the good or for the bad. And resultantly, the regret lingers. And so, once upon a time. You know the drill, boy. The security manager let that hang between a question and a statement. You get in at 9 p.m. Only a few hard-working accountants in their office at that time, but the place will be all quiet by midnight, I assure you. Keep an eye on the CCTV monitors and don't let anyone in, not even your mother. Get that? The manager narrowed his eyes at Joe, who in turn nodded harder than he needed. Unemployment can make people into empty shells of their former selves, and Joe was not an exception. Once a celebrated Grand Prix champion, now the night watchman at the high-rise office of Carl and Benson. Ironically, it was the company that once sponsored his appetite for burning the rubber. And whatever you do, don't step into that middle elevator among the bank of elevators. There on the right wall, between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Lost too many men to that. The manager made a very mysterious statement. Sound mundane. You mean like a haunting kind of thing? Joe inquired, hesitant. The manager nodded. Stay away, he warned. The hours went by slowly. Joe waited, frightened, his eyes on the middle elevator. The clock struck 3. He held his breath. Whoosh. The elevator door slid open, but there was no one going in or coming out. The doors slid shut with another whoosh. Then he saw the elevator climb to 15th floor. It stayed there till around 3:30 a.m. Then it tunneled back downwards. And that was it. The incident did not scare him. It made him curious. It had been a week since Joe had been working the night shift. And every night he would see the elevator take its phantom ride. He wanted to see what it was all about, but it scared him. And then fear had been his greatest enemy. He thought about the time he had refused to race in a downpour and his Grand Prix team had lost. He was the sissy of the racetrack. It had brought his racing career to a morbid halt. And now fear again. No more fear, he told himself. That night, he waited for 3 a.m. He waited for the elevator doors to slide open, and when they did, he stepped into the elevator, not without fear, but despite his fear. The elevator carried him to the 15th floor, and then, when the doors opened, his jaws dropped in shock. In front of him was the Grand Prix racetrack And the security manager looking at him with a smile. I knew that you would be tempted to take the ride sooner or later. This elevator brings you to a parallel universe where you can rethink your most life-defining decisions. So here is the racetrack. It's boring. Do you want to race or not? Or you just want to remain the sissy? Or do you want to change that? It did not take long for Joe to decide. I will race, he said firmly. Very well, the manager said with a smile. Then it all went dark. When the sunlight tore through the darkness, Joe found himself in a limousine. There was a huge crowd outside cheering him. He was a star. Somewhere a banner screamed, "Welcome the racing legend." A beautiful lady sat beside him and she turned to him and said, "Thank you for the diamonds, hon." He couldn't believe all this. All his troubles were over. Then he looked at himself and his joy turned to horror. Both his legs ended at his knees. A small price to survive the meanest accident in racing history. He looked behind. There was no elevator. The choice was made.